Hello, and welcome back to the Miscellaneous Debris Podcast with me, your host, the Mad Chata Ryan MK. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to check out the social medias at RMK Madness on the Twitters, on the Grams. Hopefully, going to get back into some extra additional creative content coming up here. Excuse me. And because I may be delaying the stand-up debut a little bit longer due to COVID shit. But we'll get into that. But to begin, obviously, everybody's probably wondering, oh shit, Ryan missed a week again. The chatter missed a week again. Not really. I did record a podcast. And if you'll notice, it was released with this one. I released both of them at the same time. Now, the other one I did do last week. It was later in the week. As you all know, I went on vacation. Little vacation. Went to my mother's. We like to go there from time to time up to Breckenridge. Mother has a condo up there. And this time my brother and his fam were going to be visiting. Very nerve-wracking, anxious situation just because we're all vaccinated, but the kiddies aren't. And, with the variants out there, it says it's a little bit worse for the kids. So, talked a little bit about that, but I talked about the enjoyment of vacation, the Renaissance Festival, some of the stuff we did, talk some sports. We had the NBA Finals finish up. Bucks took the championships. There was some stuff to talk about last week. So I had a after vacation podcast, and by the time I was able to get it out, it was the weekend, and I was like, I'll just save it for the beginning of the week, and we can have a double episode release. That's what we'll do. So that is the plan, and that's what we's doing. That's what we's doing, my friends. And speaking of the sports, I didn't mention sports because I talked about it on the last pod and NBA final. But anyway, speaking of sports, there's going to be a lot of speaking of in this pod. Speaking of sports, the Olympics have begun. And I guess my biggest question is, who gives a shit? I mean, really, who does? I might watch a little bit here and there, and I tend to dig the Winter Olympics a bit more than the Summer Olympics, but it just kind of, I don't even care about the basketball. Like normally I'm into, some men's hoops, and they're playing like bullshit anyway. We'll get into some other bullshit later. Bullshit, COVID, all sorts of stuff. But it's like no one cares. Fans can't even be there. Japan, like a lot of Japanese citizens didn't seem like they wanted the shit there. And that's because you got to think about it. A lot of these, it's just crazy. You have all these different people from all these different countries coming into one tiny nation. And I mean, not all the countries have the vaccine distribution, have the vaccines available that the US does. I mean, and that is part of the frustration with the lack of vaccines in this country, is because we're one of the countries that can actually, provide. We're a pretty rich country still, and we can provide for our people, for our citizens. Pardon me, drinking the tea real quick. Happy tea party, by the way. And so that's a bit of the frustrating part with that, is that, there's countries that would love to have it available as easily as we do. And, so you got a bunch of people. You'd like to think Olympians, even in countries where there's a shortage of vaccines, you'd think of the Olympians who are getting sent away would, you goddamn cat. This fucking cat. I just offered to let the bitch in. She's still mad. I gave her a bath today, so she's probably pissed off about that. That's what this shit is all about. She knows I'm recording a podcast, okay? And she's busy fucking with me because she knows. Now I have to let her in. You coming in? I swear, cat, you better bring your ass in. You were scratching at the damn door. Come on. Hermione. And there's a nice motorcycle out there. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Pardon the interruptions to the pod. The goddamn cat. The goddamn motorcycle. Anyway, back to the Olympics, COVID, all that. You'd like to think that the Olympians would at least get vaccinated, right? But it's still the point. Amongst all this, we still got this going on. Japan's not in the greatest state. I mean, it's just kind of fucked. But you know what? The Olympics got to make their money. Got to get that money. Got to get that TV money. Is that dissimilar to all the other sports? It's really not. Because you look at the NBA, the NHL, they both had their season start shortly after because they had to delay the previous season. These players didn't get a normal offseason. It really showed in the NBA, where you had the top 4 teams from 2020. They didn't win a game in the second round. Three teams of the 4 got eliminated in the first round. And the Nuggets, my hometown Denver Nuggets, they got eliminated in the second round. They got swept. We didn't win a game. So out of the top 4 teams from last year, and you could look at that and say, okay, well, was last year just weird because of the bubble and all of that? I mean, there's so many factors, but it's just crazy with everything going on. It's they have to get sports in. But there's also the argument that, hey, people need sports. They need that sort of distraction, that sort of escape. But I would say that you can't escape from any of the shit that's going on. Because even with sports, you got to think about COVID. You got to talk about COVID. COVID's there to discuss. Politics, same thing with that. Players should be speaking their minds, using their platform. Stick to sports, my ass. Find a different fucking escape. Telling athletes or people that do anything pertaining to sports to stick to sports is bullshit. Okay, so you found sports as an escape. Well, that doesn't mean the people involved in that should, do whatever to acquiesce to you. No. I don't think so. No, not at all. So you see in the other sports that, past couple of seasons have taken their toll. And you see it this year with the NFL, the way they're, getting into they're saying it right now. Hey, we're not going to be fucking around and rescheduling more games at the end of the season. Like we got the 18 weeks. There could be forfeits. That was brought up. And I know for some of you that you don't give a shit about the sports aspect, but it does pertain to some real life shit. Because the NFL is getting stringent on this stuff. They're going to fine players for COVID-19 policy violations. There's so much to it, like so much a certain percentage of the roster has to be vaccinated for the team to be able to have loosened COVID-19 protocols. It's just, and you got certain players out there, and this all ties into COVID-19. A lot of it does, because the Olympics, why is there no fans? Why is there maybe not as much excitement? Well, COVID. The NBA playoffs, a little bit screwy. Might be COVID. It's just, this goes back to we're not doing the best as a country, right? We're just not. And I do think it's important to remember that not everybody that is not getting vaccinated is an anti-vaxxer, is someone who doesn't believe in vaccines. There are people who think about, hey, like this vaccine came together pretty quick, and they're looking at the negative aspects, but they're not looking enough at the positive aspects. So I don't know. And all the people that think, oh, the vaccine, if it was going to do this to you, then why'd Trump get it? Then why'd Biden get it? Or did they not really get it? Um, cases are still rising, particularly in areas with low vaccination rates. Makes sense. You got Republicans out there doing 180-degree turns because now they see how shit is affecting the economy. And you got to start thinking at some point, if all your voters don't take COVID seriously and don't give a shit about the vaccine, lots of them are going to die. So you might want to think about protecting your voters, if nothing else, uh, for your own skin. These fucking idiots. Like, it just blows my mind. Now some of them are going to start taking shit seriously. It's so ridiculous. And then you think about the entire fact that Trump himself was out there touting how he's the one that got the whole vaccine thing, the whole ball rolling. Shouldn't his supporters be like proud of that? Be support? And you do hear some of them talk about how, yeah, it was really Trump who got the vaccines going. Then why are you afraid to take them? Why aren't you like? It's just so stupid. Like there's just the facts are there. There's too much information. There's too many people in power. Too many people with platforms and voices saying the wrong shit. And people say, "Hey, I got the vaccine, but I'm all for to each their own. It's their own body, their own choice." I'm almost always with that mentality. And I still am. It's still your fucking choice. But it's my choice to call you a fucking asshole, an ignorant prick for not getting the vaccine. If you don't have a valid fucking reason, that's what I think of you. And there's not really a whole lot of valid shit out there for not getting it. There's just not. Sorry. And you say, why should I get a vaccine for shit I can't? So you don't spread it to fucking kids because these variants are out there. 5-year-old just died from it. This shit is serious. That's what you can do. Get the vaccine. Help protect other people. And yes, you can still test positive. You can still get it. It's like the flu. You can still get the flu. It's supposed to help keep you from getting seriously ill or dying, right? Hospitalization. It's supposed to help you avoid that shit. It's just if getting the vaccine is just a little thing you can do to kind of help. Why do you think we're getting these variants in the first place? If we had popped off and everybody was getting vaccinated, these variants wouldn't be as much of an issue, but they're allowed to fester and they're allowed to continue to evolve and mutate and do this and that because they've found environments that aren't vaccinated with just ample hosts because there's people that don't believe in vaccinations and masks and that shit. And it's just a breeding ground, a mutation ground. But that's really, it really does come down to misinformation. Because, yeah, there is going to be some unvaccinated people out there that aren't necessarily anti-vax. But again, they're looking at shit like, hey, this was a vaccine that was put together really quick. And hey, why are you making and black people? They got some fucking PTSD, even if they weren't involved. Like, there's a history of shit of fucking African Americans being experimental. You got the Tuskegee experiment. Look up, I'll tell you about the Tuskegee experiment. So while I'm looking that up, my point is that I can't just go, okay, if that's what gives you fear, I mean, how do you kind of hold on, maybe it's not called that. Tuguski is not the right, that's not what we're looking for at all. Experiment. Okay, I'm gonna try and the Tuskegee study of untreated syphilis in the Negro male. That's how it's put on Twitter. So basically, it was a syphilis experiment, and it was done on black soldiers. Uh, it was done collaboration on. Oh no, sharecroppers. Some participated and were promised free medical care, but were deceived, never informed. It says they were told the study was only going to last 6 months, but it went for 40 years. That's insane. It's the most famous biomedical research study. So, yeah. Total of 600 impoverished of African American sharecroppers from Macon County, Alabama. So the soldiers must have been a different thing. Of these men, 399 had latent syphilis, with a control group of 200 men who were not infected. None of the infected men was treated with penicillin, despite the fact the antibiotic was widely available and had become the standard treatment for syphilis. Lasted till 1972. 10 years before I was born. It lasted till 1972. See, this is you look at shit like that. Look at shit like that. I mean, yeah, I guess if I was a black dude, I'd be a little fucking nervous too, man. And woman, and sorry, the last few minutes were a little bit slow as I'm like polite, but overall, I can't get past like if you just think about the benefits outweighing the negatives, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. That's all there is to it in my mind. And you're going to be hard to convince me, hard pressed to convince me that there's a valid reason not to get it. As of now. As of now. And like I said, lots of countries would be, thrilled to have the access that US citizens do. But half the country thinks it's bullshit. A lot of them based on politics, misinformation, etc. A lot of which doesn't make any fucking sense. And there's talk of eliminating misinformation, attacking it, trying to get rid of it. Joe Biden recently accused Facebook of killing people because of their information pertaining to COVID. And while he's probably right, I mean, it's the idea to eliminate misinformation. I don't know how you do that. To me, that's a scary slope because then that sets up future for where, because that's how we got into trouble with Trump. The government doesn't have enough safeguards to stop him from doing crazy shit. So Biden, even though, he probably believes in this and the intentions are probably good, it opens a door. It opens a Pandora's box in a sense, because then would that give the next what's the word? What's the word I'm fucking looking for? Presidential group. Would that give the next group? I'll just call it group for now. Would that give the next group, that same power, that same autonomy to say this isn't misinformation? Because if you remember, Trump used to say a lot of fake news shit to like real factual shit. So if Biden is using his power to eliminate misinformation, that's great because he's probably going to eliminate shit that goes against actual facts. Trump or someone like him would just want to eliminate whatever information did not suit them, whether it's fact or misinformation. They'd view it as how does it affect me, So it's a slippery slope. It's a scary thought. But see, I think if you ask me, this is what you do to fix all of this. You, instead of being assholes, egotistical assholes like we tend to be in this country, you take a page out of some European nations' books and let's start doing some fucking free college. If you have free college, if you don't have to go into debt, right? Just to go to college, if you can get that education for free, well, fuck, this country would probably be much higher up in education. And then people would understand the truth and they wouldn't be so gullible to misinformation and things like that. And they would know through their collegiate career how to do proper research and what are proper sources and things like that. Overall, the country would just be much more educated. We would be. And I know people can point out how in I believe France, they're freaking out because they're of how they're doing the vaccine and how they're making it mandatory. And I do think there's a bit of just anti-government to the shit. And it's not like Joe Biden's been, over the top amazing. I think he's done solid. And I think you have to respect him trying to get shit under control after a crazy ass 4 years. So I think he's done a solid job. But I also think, man, we need some young blood in the White House. And it's going to be so fun. Like, I don't even know the next election. What do we do? Because it's likely it's not going to be Biden for another 4 years. So I imagine we'll get, well, if he's not in prison, we'll get Trump running against somebody. I still think if you listen to my previous episodes, I really feel like we should try some different wrestlers. I mean, The Rock would be cool. We should try some different wrestlers. We should definitely get The Undertaker up in there as the president. Nobody will fuck with The Undertaker. No. But again, if you get more educated people in this country, you'll get less belief in bullshit ideals and misinformation, right? I mean, makes fucking sense. Maybe that's the route we go. Who knows? Humanity itself is full of bullshit. Okay, my friends. Okay, madcaps. Returning after a brief pause. Had to get some more marijuana rolled, or packed because I used the cones, the lazy way. And empty the bladder, but we're back. And I was previously talking about bullshit, essentially. And led me to a little bit of an interview that I've listened to. So I was at work. You know me. I love my UFO stuff. The paranormal UFO, I love all that shit. So I was listening to my normal UFO stuff, and I was trying to I was in the mood. So I was trying to find something else to listen to. Came across a paranormal podcast called Mysterious Radio. And they had this guy on, Dr. Christopher Macklin. Now, before I begin, because this dude is very much deep in some of this conspiracy theory stuff, and to the point where he says he's part of some galactic order. He actually goes out to space, or his soul does, for when they have meetings and whatnot. Okay, so to let you know where we're at. Again, I love my UFO stuff. I used to love conspiracy. Y'all have heard me bitch about that plenty. Used to be into conspiracy theories, but now it's all bull. Here's my problem. When it comes to shit like the QAnon and the deep state stuff, and how there's all these different species and draconians and gosh, what are some of the other names? Arcturians and all this different shit. And it's just like, I want to go, okay, what do you have any evidence whatsoever? Because it sounds like most of it is just anecdotal. Like it's a lot of hearsay, a lot of stories, right? That's the way I perceive it. Because if you look at some of the shit, like aliens, that was a conspiracy. I think it's general consensus now that, UFOs exist. And we're not entirely sure where they come from. But there's a good chance they're extraterrestrial, right? Yeah, that's the sound of the wonderful J burning. Good stuff. I love joints and blunts. I was just telling my wife, I just love blunts. Really, I feel like it's the best way to smoke is when you have a J or a B or a J. You want to do a B or a J? A BJ. Let's do both. Let's do a BJ. But the blunts, the joints, it's the way to go. And I love the cones. Like I said, gotta do it the lazy way. Although my buddy from work, the Sith Lord named Jay, he gave me a little tool to use to basically turn a blunt wrap into a cone. And it works beautifully. But I digress. Back to what we were discussing. Even back way in the day, when people would call you cuckoo for believing in aliens and UFOs, when the government highly rejected the idea, like there was still plenty of evidence, crop circles, pictures, video. People with encounters had physical evidence, implants, radiation exposure, unexplained radiation exposure. So there was a lot of evidence to that. Even with some of the different, you look at the JFK assassination, and there's different letters and notes, and the fact that there's Marilyn Monroe and then his brother, there's all this shit. He writes a letter talking about he wants UFO information. Around a week later, he's dead. It's crazy. You got to look at some of the stuff. Same with like the moon landing. When they went to the moon, they put crosshairs on their camera lenses, right? It's to help like guide them with the horizon, right? To keep on the horizon. So you can see some pictures where it looks like there's stuff in the picture that overlaps the crosshair, and that shouldn't be like that. with the crosshair on the lens. Like if that lens, if the camera lens was cracked, you have that crack line going through, so you can't, stuff can't be over it. The crosshair on the lens would be over everything else. So there's some weird pictures and things like that. There's actually things to make you go, "Oh, okay. I see why there's some questions about this." And it just, I guess to me, is so much of this shit is true. Why is there not something, excuse me, why is there not something better evidence wise? Because it's just a whole lot of people that are talking about these different, and it changes from person to person. Like this particular guy was talking about, he seemed pretty religious. Like when he was first talking, I was like, he's kind of interesting. And then he starts talking about God. And basically, it sounded like these alien reptilians were basically the snake in the Garden of Eden. Like just some weird shit. And these prayers that can help you, and how you can use prayer if you're close to God to manifest things like a vehicle, or like it. And it's just like, yeah, plenty of people all over the world do this. Yeah, it's just it, that's like shit. He talked about angelic aliens. Like this is shit that you're not hearing across all the story. Like it's just, give me something other than just people's stories. Talked a lot about reptilian hybrids, and how that, people talk about the deep state, and the real problem is these reptilians, I believe the draconians, and they've been ruling over us for thousands of years. And basically they feed on the adrenochrome of kids, and they have bases of kids that were like under the White House. There's one apparently, and I remember when he talked about that, he was like, "Hey, people they might think I'm crazy, but if they just do a little bit of research," I'm like, "Do a little bit of fucking research." Like it's just. Like I really did used to love conspiracy stuff, not so much anymore, because you get into this kind of shit, and it's like some of the stuff I can buy. The possibility of a deep state, okay. Possibility of alien species helping, to control. I could see that potentially, sure. But again, these people go into some crazy shit, and it's like that's a lot of crazy shit and you have like nothing to show any kind of proof really. Like I've watched a documentary on this kind of the deep state and the different kinds of aliens and stuff, and it's like, I mean, they've got certain things they can point to. It's a bit of a stretch on some of the shit, and then it's a lot of stories. So I don't know. I don't know. And it's easy for people to believe because people want to believe there's more to some people. But I think we can't help to consider, given how long people have been reporting UFOs and things like that. I can't. We can't help but consider the implications of it all, and that maybe there is some deeper state, some deeper threat. That there's something more evil and more powerful out there. But again, with some of the way this people talk, it's like, you know, I've never found it that crazy to say, yeah, I saw a flying saucer. But for this person to say, yeah, not only have I seen that shit, but I've ridden on one, and they took my soul to a different planet, and when I say prayers to God, vehicles appear for me, and it's like, and then they talk so casual. Oh yeah, like anybody can do it. I'm sure. I'm very sure. Like it, it's crazy shit. That one went from like compelling to like holy fuck pretty quick. But here's some crazy truth. Some crazy shit that did happen. I read this story a couple of different times and I was like, well, I didn't read it. I saw the headline a few different times, finally decided to read it, throw it in the podcast because it's interesting. Apparently, this dude was out looking for gold by himself, ran into a big ass bear. Bear knocked him off his ATV. Motherfucker ran back to his cabinet, his cabin. Motherfucker made it back to his cabin, locked himself in there, but could not get out because he said the bear would just occasionally come back. So he was trapped in his cabin. I find it kind of funny. I'm sure it was terrifying for that dude. I'd have killed that fucking bear. Uh, but yeah, apparently he painted SOS help me on the roof, and some Coast Guard, some Coast Guard guys in a chopper, I believe, found him waving his hands in the air, and then they saw the SOS and they rescued him from the situation. Like, yeah, if you can see me on the video, yes, I know I'm super high. My eyes are like, and I'm tired and hungry, per usual, because as soon as this gets done, I gotta go do the pizza and yeah, get ready for bed. I got a busy day tomorrow. Busy motherfucking day. Yeah. So, knocked off his fucking ace. Dude said he was lucky to be alive and he'll never go do any of that kind of shit again by himself. Yeah. Some motherfuckers wouldn't go do it at all. I would have killed that fucking bear. I for sure would have. Tried, at least. Dude said he was like trying to check the doors of the window. Like, fuck that. Trapped inside a cabin. Nope. You're sitting there terrified he'll break in when you least expect it. Nope. Take that motherfucker out. Nature's scary. It really is. Like, you think about it, I'll tell you a good example. I was thinking about this because the bear thing reminded me of this past week. Obviously, at work, I have plenty of time to listen to stuff. I do the podcast. I've talked about how I do audiobooks. I got another Michael Crichton book. As you know, I'm a big Michael Crichton fan. May he rest in peace. And his books are very scientific and things like that. And one of his very last ones that he had started writing and somebody else had to finish it. It's called Micro. It was before his death. But it's basically about microtechnology. And so he had the book Prey about nanotechnology, similar thing, but this is more basically where they're building mini robots, not like Nano, where it was just tiny little cameras in a swarm. This is basically where they're building these machines and then shrinking them. Okay. Shrinking them. And then what they're doing is they basically made their own rainforest near their facility, and they basically I have said basically a million times. They take these machines that they want to use for digging and collecting samples and all these different things, and they shrink them down along with workers, people. They go to the rainforest and they fucking look into shit. They study, they do science stuff. It sounds pretty badass. Like, hey, this is what I do for work. They shrink me down to a little tiny thing, and I go study nature like real up close, real fucking up close, like real up close. I know I've been hunched down a lot in this episode. I'm tired. So real fucking close. And the story is that this company, he's kind of run by kind of an asshole. And one of his partners basically finds out he's trying to do deals with like sell the technology to like basically foreign governments, terrorist groups. And he's like, no fucking way. And so the story goes from there. Basically, he's believed to have been killed, this dude, for discovering this of the guy who runs the company. Sorry if you've lost, and I am high as hell, so I'll just stone to the bone. But basically what happens is these students who are going to have a job offering, one of them is this dude who's thought to be dead, his brother. All these people go to this company. They end up finding out a bunch of shit they shouldn't. And before you know it, they're shrunk down and thrown in the rainforest, left to die. Crazy, right? Of course it fucking is, because they're running into ants and centipedes and shit. Shit that is like way bigger to them now that there's the size of a thumbtack. It's scary shit, right? But interesting too, because they're really at the same time they're scientists, so some of them are enjoying the opportunity to study nature in that way. And that would be so fucking crazy. It would be to study nature that way, because nature's good. Nature it's a powerful thing, you know? And I mean, it's just insane. If you think about part of what they talk about in this book, one of the things that's brought up is the idea of plants and insects and how they evolve over time in their relationship. Because essentially, plants will be eaten by a particular kind of insect. So it'll grow, or I should say, evolve and develop like a poison in their plant to keep the bugs from eating them, because the bugs eat it, they get poisoned. The bugs then develop some sort of immunity to this poison through the evolution generation. And so then the plants have to figure out, okay, up the poison, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just back and forth, this evolutionary process. And that's just one example. It's like, fuck, nature is scary. It's powerful. But to us, it's really, a lot of it is still mysterious, you know? I mean, we don't know shit about space, really, if you think about it. We don't even know shit about our own oceans, really. I mean, the deep forests. I mean, I've seen videos, but there's like hidden tribes, lost tribes, uncivilized people, groups of it. Like, there's still so much of our own planet that's mysterious to us, you know? Let alone our immediate vicinity, as in our solar system. It's crazy how much we really don't know. But there's still a good amount we do. Like Nature is scary and powerful. And tie it in with some COVID shit. I mean, think about it. Viruses are a fucking part of nature, right? And as humans, you know, animals on this planet, whether it's it, some form of virus or bacteria, to microorganisms, to the smallest of insects, to say a lion, king of the jungle. There's certain attributes in everything, right? Skills they possess, evolutionary traits they possess, to all things to help them survive. Same thing as with humans. Part of our ability lies within our brains, just the way we're built. So as we evolve, we become more intelligent. Our science evolves as well, our technology. And so then, in a sense, we're evolving as a plant might that gets eaten by insects. We evolve and develop vaccines to counter. And you could look at it the other way, I guess, where the ants eating or the bugs eating the plant. Because we're humans, we do just kind of chew through shit. And the plants develop a poison. Nature develops a virus. And we evolve, develop vaccines, medicines, things to combat it. And some don't respect nature enough. Whether it's buying into part of our evolutionary process, which would be vaccines. Ask people 100 years ago, 100, 200 years ago, if they would want something like a vaccine. Even if they were like, it'll make the government control it, they'd be like, I don't fucking care. Polio sucks. But people just don't respect nature enough. I think that's why we're in the shape we're in with, our climate. And there is science and data that, as a planet, we really do the planet Earth really does undergo a lot of change throughout time. And whether due to comets or just different things like, there's been a lot of change, not just with climate, everywhere to this planet. So change is inevitable. But what human beings have done is damaged the planet. And inevitably, the planet will be okay. It should be okay. But could also go through a very shitty period of time. And it could be because of us, or partly because of us. The earth will probably be here and be okay long after we're gone. People are so desperate to find another place to live, and I get it, because we've done a lot of damage to this one. And yeah, it sucks. Mother Earth, should treat her as such. Not enough of us do. Whether ignorance, lack of caring, or, like your oil tycoons, it's just about money, power, greed. Those are all reasons we're in the position we're in with the climate, You can't really deny that some shit's going on and we've added a lot to the issues. It's not debatable anymore. And again, the planet will likely survive. Will we? That's a very good question. It's a very good question. All I know is nature, you got my respect. You got my motherfucking respect. Totally. I mean it. Because, I mean, just think about, again, on our own fucking planet. And now think about, instead of, all the stuff we might not know about, the mysterious shit, think about the shit we do know about. I mean, I just got done watching Shark Week. That was another thing I did. Shark Week. Shark Week was fun, man. They had they had some good ass shows. They had the workaholics dudes on one. What was some Brad Paisley? I'm not a big fan of him. Uh, is that who it was? I just don't really care about country music. But he was actually good in the show. He was funny. He's funny in the Peyton Manning commercial. Is that Brad Paisley? I think. Again, I don't really care about country music anyway. But there were some good shows on, and that would be an intense thing to do. Get down in there with the sharks. But that's nature. Nature's crazy. Sharks, man. Sharks. Sharks. This is fucking crazy. That's crazy. Those are here. And you just think non-animal stuff. I mean, tornadoes, hurricanes. I mean, I don't know. It's a crazy planet. Nature's scary, powerful, and but beautiful. So beautiful. And you got to respect it. Respect the nature. Or just respect nature, Maybe that's what we'll call the pod. I was kind of leaning something else, but we'll go some with nature. Because after all, nature pertains to really everything. I mean, yeah. I mean, got my respect. Nature, earth, universe, all that shit. Got my mad respect. More powerful than I. You know what I mean? Okay. Y'all got my respect too, by the way. Thank you for joining. Let's close up shop. Let's get the fuck out of here. Let's just do it. It's been fun. Thank you for listening. By the way, not impressed with Space Jam 2. As always, much love and respect again. Stay safe, stay vigilant, stay bad. Until next time, have a great week. Talk for now.